I'm Jesse Lubinsky.
I'm Donnie Piercy.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Heil, hosts of the Partial Credit Podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network.
Just like the show you're listening to now.
Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others.
Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Brian Carpenter. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to exercise by walking about my neighborhood, to take in podcast content, then reflect in an unedited video, which I finally post to my Twitter channel. This podcast will be a regular collection of the audio from these selfie videos. You can follow me on Twitter at FreshAir@5 or check out my website, briancarpenter.com, for other content I have created and collected. Hey, PLN, Monday, May 15, 2023. Hey, welcome to episode 122 of Fresh Air at 5. It's the first segment of the first day of walking this week. So this morning as I'm out walking, things are getting better in my space as far as busyness and settling down. The weather is much better. That actually helps a whole lot. This past weekend I was supposed to go fishing. Plans changed, and that's okay. You know, we have to deal with things that come at us in life, and they changed, and I'm gonna go fishing this coming weekend with my buddy and our two wives. So they're coming up with us to go fishing, so that's pretty cool. It's the beginning of the week, and I listened to My EdTech Life episode 203 as Fonz Mendoza brings on guest Michelle Haken, and she is the author of a book called Creative SEL, and it's the title of this podcast is Enhancing SEL Through Arts and STEM integration, and how we can take and look at SEL as part of all the things that we're doing, because that's important, because it's not an extra subject, and also integrating the languages and science and different the curricular streams that students are taking, and working on common goal topics and practices for common projects. That's what I'm getting at. And how can we, have writing and reading and literacy, come through in art and other things, and SEL things that students do to enhance and make them better. How are we bringing out the 4 C's, in our students, and where, at the end of the day, how important are those things? All right, so that's all I got for now. Michelle, appreciate your conversation with Fonz. It's so important, and shout out to our new principal at my school that's starting in August, Baljit Gill. Him and I ran into each other when we were having these cross-curricular meetings a few years ago. Okay, bye-bye. Hey, one more thing for May 15, 2023. I just listened to the latest episode of Teaching Champions with Brian Martin, and Brian brings us a short called 3 Ways to Effectively Close Off the School Year, or something like that, because I forgot in the second that I just looked at it, Brian, the title of your podcast for this week. But the point is that, we got to finish our school year strong. And how can we do that? You bring us 3 ways that we can do that. One is to, look at the 5 things every day that were positive, and, to reflect on those at the end of the day. Another thing is to manage and guard how we say words and what words we are saying, because that has a profound impact on our students, and to be present in our school culture. The third one kind of eluded me, but it's in there. And the whole point is that, we have a lot to do with how the year wraps up. With our faculty and with our students, and it's how we approach each day. Are we approaching it with joy, or are we approaching it with stress or things like that? And that makes a significant difference in how we project ourselves. Some good tips. All right, I think I'm going to have my students look at their growth as they end the school year to see what they've done. All right, here's Bruce and Sophie again. Hey, good morning. Hey, PLN, it's Brian here. It is Tuesday, May 16th. Today, my son turns 20. He's no longer a teenager anymore. He's a 20-year-old young man, and being successful as a apprentice electrician and third-year training right now. And he's doing it. He's learning about electricity and transformers and AC motors and all kinds of stuff that I don't understand. And I'm so proud of him for pursuing his desire and passion into trades here in Abbotsford. So yes, happy birthday, boy. Appreciate you, Brock, and I'm proud of you. All right, this morning as I'm walking, I listened to episode 7 of Speaking with Students with Will Andresen, and he's a member of the Educational Podcast Network, his podcast, and great to have you part of the EPN, Will. And you talked this morning on episode 7, and that I listened to this morning, with Greg. And Greg is the weatherman in Denver, Colorado on NBC. And I didn't catch the station, but Greg talked to you about being in school and his experience of how he got into meteorology and got to where he is today. And the lesson that Greg brings us is that we can affect the world significantly with kindness, and to always be kind in all situations. And so how does that play out? That plays out in how we treat each other. It plays out in how we speak and take care of each other. It's about, how do the leaders in the school care for those that they are leading and that people follow around. And yes, so it was great to hear Greg's story. It was great to hear him talk about Mrs. Clara, one of his teachers that really brought him through and encouraged him. And I hope that we do that as well as teachers today. And Mrs. Clara had a weather project that she was doing with her students, and he brought it to light on the air. So today I'm gonna hang on, I'll be right back. One more thing for May 16, 2023. Speaking with students with Will Andresen on episode 7, Greg, the weatherman, brings us an interesting conversation about kindness and how kindness in our workplace and in our lives can actually bring us and provide opportunities for us. And I try to be a kind person all the time. It's sometimes hard to be kind when people aren't kind to you, but to say thank you so much, and I appreciate your comment, and I will consider that and all these kinds of things, as opposed to lashing back and lashing out. Today I thought about, as I'm walking, that it would be a nifty thing, as we are a week out from Teacher Appreciation Week, and I didn't see my students last week for very long and missed this opportunity, but I've got an idea that maybe my students today, we're going to do a little research and go and find an email address of a teacher that they have had in the past, and write them an email to say thank you for being my teacher back in 3rd grade. And, so these are my students right now, middle school, and I'm going to have them do this. I'm going to have them do this project and CC me on it so that the teacher knows that it's me prompting them a little bit to do this, but maybe not. I'll see. I'll talk to the students about that. Maybe they can BCC me, but I just want to see their email, because teaching them how to write an email is an important thing. And how can we do that with kindness and respect, and to show care as we do these tasks that become very menial in our world today. All right, with that, I'm going to close. Thanks so much. Appreciate you taking a listen to my podcast. And thanks, Will and Greg, for sharing your story. And let's keep this kindness going, because it's so important, and we need more kindness in our world. All right, peace. Bye. Hey PLN, it is Thursday, May 18th. Today's my mom and dad's wedding anniversary, and I think it's 54 years for them. Nope. You know what it is? It's 55. 55 years that my mom and dad have been married. So shout out to my mom and dad this morning, and thankful for them as they are living nearby and part of our lives. And, we got busy lives, and maybe we need to spend more time with my parents, but we don't as it is. But it's nice that they're close by, that they can be part of what's going on. My daughter called Grandpa the other day and said, "Grandpa, can you come pick me up from school?" And he did. She wasn't feeling well and was able to help out during the day when I wasn't and my wife weren't able to go pick her up from school. So, yes. All right, this morning as I'm walking, I listened to Evolving with Gratitude with Lainey Rowell, episode 57. And she has on guest Nikki Jones. And Nikki is out of Virginia and is a mom of two and is a technology coach. And Nikki talks about the importance of having a positive perspective, because a positive perspective is more like an optimistical perspective is much better than a pessimistic perspective. She didn't say those words, but that's what comes to mind. And having an outlook of positivity, and the episode is called Positively Thankful Living. And Nikki, I hear you talk about this, and I know it's not easy to do exactly what we talk about, but I appreciate hearing the consistency of the thankfulness and gratitude that you have with your family and your sons as you use Flip to record a video every night of them talking about what they're thankful for. And some days it's probably pretty mechanical, but those pretty mechanical moments when stuff's going down are important, because like you talked about writing those notes, and the thankful jar at school was one of those, I have to do this. But by the time you were done it, you're like, yeah, there we go. All right, so thank you, Lainey and Nikki. So appreciate hearing. And this is part of my gratitude process, listening to Evolving with Gratitude. See you later, bye. One more thing for May 18, 2023, listening to Teach Happier with Suzanne Daly, episode 101. And Suzanne, this morning, I appreciate hearing the words that you have to say, because we've got busy lives. I've got a super busy life. And being my one word for last year, not this year, but this year's one word is bringing forth and bringing to the front in situations. But last year's word was about presence. It was about being present where you are right now, with whom you're there with, pushing away distractions. And so that presence is all about being present with those around us. In episode 101 of your podcast, Teach Happier, you talk about bids for connection, and what does that mean? It means that we are paying attention to those that are asking our attention and wanting to spend time with us. Now, it's weird. It's how we perceive these things as annoyances, in like, I got this plan, I've got these things I got to do, but I've got this person that is asking of my attention. It could be at school. It could be as I walk into the K-2 classroom, that I have kids that come up to me and go, "Mr. Carpenter," and they want to give me a hug. And I'm like, no, back to your desk. You guys got to focus. But what is that part? That is part of having a connection. And it's my friend's classroom, Chantel's, as she is wrangling these young ones and bringing forth learning in them, and the connections that are there. And I have the opportunity to see these things happen. I got another young guy in my class that is like, "Mr. Carpenter, did you notice I got a haircut?" And I'm like, "That's not what we're doing right now, bud." But you know what? It's his way of wanting to connect with me. And in these moments, we're going fishing this weekend. My friends and I, my buddy and I, and our wives are going on a trip. And my wife says, "Brian, it's not all about fishing all the time." And I'm like, yeah, it is. It is, because this has typically been my fishing weekend, but I have to slow it down and make sure we're connecting, as opposed to me just touching the fish and seeing the fish. Okay, that's all I got. Thanks, Suzanne. Peace. One more thing for May 18, 2023, continuing my thoughts on Teach Happier with Suzanne Daly, episode 101. Go listen to this. It's about 8 or 9 minutes long. And Suzanne brings out the joy in what's going on. And thank you, Suzanne. I needed this morning. I needed this because, it's so important that we take time to pay attention to those around us. We aren't in this for ourselves, I hope. There are moments when I'm in this for myself, but in this moments of being in it for myself, I will be happier if I take time to notice, and this comes out of listening to Evolving with Gratitude as well. Notice those around me and being grateful for what is going on right this moment. Right now, I'm walking. It is 14 degrees Celsius. It's not too warm. It's not too cool. The sun is coming up over there. I'm thankful for that. I get to see nature. I get to see spring happen and watching the changes that happen because I am noticing. So, as Suzanne Daly talks about, and as Nikki Jones talks about, it's important for us to make sure we're paying attention to the things that are going on and see the positive in what is going on. Field trips, yes, I agree. Nikki and my kids have asked me to come on field trips, and how it's like, yeah, do I really want to go spend time with all your friends and school, all your classmates? Not really, but you're asking me, and that's important because you're proud to have your dad on the field trip. All right, that's all I got for now, and I am just heading home, and I'm going to look forward to that cup of coffee and connecting with my wife at home. All right, talk to you soon. Okay, bye-bye. The last thing for May 18, 2023. I just had a really cool encounter just now. I was walking along and I ran into Bruce and Sophie, and Bruce is my friend that I run into in the neighborhood, and he is an educator that works with students with disabilities to provide them technology so that they can be in trades and have the opportunities with technology support to be able to take notes and have digital textbooks and things like that are, the special ed part of life as opposed to the UDL, that we could all benefit from. And we're talking about learning and about the path to learning and how we learn and whether we take shortcuts and what do those shortcuts do compared to doing the hard work. And, how do we take notes? Do we take notes by hand? Do we type them into a computer? And what's your recall when you're taking notes by hand compared to like with a pencil or a pen, or compared to using a computer? What's the recall that goes on there? The act of learning is important. And do we get AI to listen and summarize a lecture, or do we need to do that ourselves? Maybe record it so that we can go back to it, but the act of learning. Okay, going on and on. Bruce, awesome. And Sophie's dog, they're doing well, and it was nice to see them this morning. On episode 124 of Ignite EdTech podcast with Craig Kemp, Craig talks with a data scientist named Damien Everson from Red Hat, who is a data science company, and they help work on business problems and education problems and distilling down the data to call it information, to take information and call it knowledge, and from knowledge we get to wisdom. And that's just brilliant. You have this pile of information and we can become wise from it if we can learn how to sift through it and get the information that we're looking for. Take a listen. There's another interview on episode 124 of Ignite EdTech podcast. Didn't have a chance to listen to because I ran into Bruce and Sophie. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye. Hey, PLN Friday, May 19, 2023. Hope you're doing well today. It is Friday. It's Prody Friday here in my district. And so today I'm going to be doing a little workshop on transferring files from our Google Drive to our OneDrive as we're transitioning out of Google into Microsoft. So working on that and doing some learning on my own about Canva, as I have been taking a course with Tony Vincent, and this past couple weeks has been so busy and crazy that I haven't been able to attend to those lessons from 2 and 3 weeks ago. So I have to get caught up on that so I can, be a better Canva creator, and appreciate the fact that Tony has the resources still available. So if you haven't taken any Tony Vincent courses, I'm recommending that you do so, because Tony's got some great resources, and the way he teaches and builds community in his classy Canva or classy graphics course is fantastic. So, all right, big shout out to Tony. All right, this morning as I'm walking, I listened to, it's a longer a podcast, hour and 15 minutes long, by Sarah Candela on the Optimalist podcast. And I think it's episode 5, as she talks with Jen Shirley, who is a self-regulation coach and lives in Ottawa, and brings us a perspective on loneliness and self-regulation, self-control, and how the difference between self-control and self-regulation, we get those so easily confused that, in the moment I need to be self-controlled, but the process of being self-controlled, as I get to that moment, is self-regulation. How do I walk into moments, and then how do I respond when those things are happening? You see people that are just so cool under pressure, but what does it take to get to that spot so that they can be all cool and relaxed? The conversation about loneliness, so important that we think about that in our world today. With our connected world, it's not connected as the way that we think about connections. So that's important. And then the diplomat and Jody Carrington. Fantastic. We'll talk to you soon. Have a fabulous day. Bye-bye.
As my one word for 2021 is appreciate, I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's a unique Blinkist or Coles Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific podcast episodes in the show notes for your learning convenience. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoy this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can also be found on Voice Ed Radio. Your voice is right here, and on the Education Podcast Network, podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. I hope you have a fantastic day and get some fresh air before the day is out, and take care of yourself because you're worth it.